season of hope and expectation. Interpret this book. Mostly help it, Lord, to draw us closer to you in faith. And we ask it, especially, O Lord, in Jesus' name. Now we're getting to the actual war in heaven here. Okay. Part yet, right? I had us at the end. Birth pains and in the agony of giving birth. And the dragon stood before the wild child, one who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. Okay. So we have. Anybody want to volunteer?
The great red dragon, Satan?
Okay. Yeah, dragon, right? So most people know this, or at least most people who study Bible around here know the motif from Eden on. What about the description? Horn signify power, crown. Yeah, sort of rulership going on here, right? That's what that is. Are no longer partial; they're complete with the sounding of the seventh trumpet. So now we're moving into completion. So that's why that's seven, fullness, right? This.
Well, that he's kind of, Satan's kind of complete itself.
Absolutely.
I'm the top.
Yeah, imagery comes from where? Where have you seen that? Yep. The Iron Age supersedes the Bronze Age. And so it's an indication of strength of rule. So that this child about to be born is going to be a strength of rule. So that this child about to be born is going to be a complete ruler. A complete ruler is going to have that strength to rule all. And specifically, what are we told? Is going to have that strength to rule all. And specifically, what are we told he's to rule? Rule the nations, right? So again, so these are the nations that. And some of you have taken other classes with me know these are the nations that were distributed out to that God delegates to the angels to rule, and they betray him, which is why you end up in the Tower of Babel. Delegated rule. This is why when St. Paul says later, we know that all the gods of the nations are demons, he's not being poetic. He means the child is to rule the nations. He is super solid, great scholarship, but readable for the rest of us who don't like 1,000 footnotes attached to every line. Yes, good call. His tail, his influence, his power sweeps. When hell is mentioned at all by Jesus as like the angels, and memories from Luke, and of course you have this angelic host, and all the paintings of the angelic host on Christmas Eve are you get the shepherds, and it's always some very pretty angel in the sky. Okay, this is soldiers sort of like this, and the reason. Okay. The cosmology that the stars are actually representative of the angels. We would think the closest we have an analogy for us in the modern world is avatars. God of the sun, right? So Apollo is the god of the sun. That's why the sun is referred to as Apollo's chariot and all that kind of stuff. And you go to the temple and there's an idol of Apollo and you're worshiping him, but it's daytime out. They weren't partially present in each of the, in surrounding cities. That they weren't exactly the angels, but they were kind of representative of the angels, and that's why the symbolism of the stars being swept from the heavens. The heaven, by the way, but it comes from Syria. Or what we would think of Syria. The Akkadian culture becomes part of the Greek culture. It spreads out through the course of this sides, and this is the significance of the woman. How she is. Okay, so the child to be born from her, Christians get this, we have this concept called the incarnation. Oh, look, it's God and man. The perishable world. It's symbol. What do you think that means? Specifically, the ascension, like what we celebrate, the throne sits on top of some Jerusalem because you're climbing the mountain to Jerusalem. History, particularly between Protestants and Catholics. Word church means church. What it means? Yes, assembly. It means assembly. Yeah, it means yes, Assembly. It means assembly. Yeah. So that when you read in the Old Testament, especially the Psalms, I will sing your praises in the face of the. So read in the Old Testament, especially the Psalms, I will sing your praises in the face of the. So it's everybody who belongs to God. So it's everybody who belongs to God. So yes, in Todd. Um, so yes, in Todd. Um, right. One of the right. One of the and he was keeps getting tapered down, and he was keeps getting tapered down. All the people up to that picket, like in him. All the people up to that picket, like in him. Right. That's how he gives the right answer. So who is the right? That's how he gives the right answer. So who is the bride if it's a wedding feast? Who's the bride of the Lamb? Is the church. Yeah, the church. Yeah. And it's all about like how to do everything exactly right. And it's all about like how to do everything exactly right. By people who like really stuffy liturgy. By people who like really stuffy liturgy. Christians. But the whole Christians. But the whole.
You said like the woman is Mary. You said like the woman is Mary. You said like.
One of the things that's.
You said like.
One of the things that's hard. That's not was because the whole identity of the people was summed up in them. Okay, so this is this kind of thing where you'll see in the Lutheran book, Mary's never named because we are Lutheran. Here we sing it at St. Michael and All Angels, and sometimes we sing it on All Saints Sunday. But it's called Ye Watchers and Ye Holy Ones. So basically, Watchers and Ye Holy Ones. So basically, it's just Ye Watchers and Ye Holy, more honorable than the cherubim. Thou bearer of the eternal word, the bearer of the eternal word, more eternal word, the bearer of the eternal word, more honorable than the cherubim who are servants because she said yes. Honorable than the cherubim who are servants because she said yes. And her, we're all one in one body. And she doesn't really have, in Lutheran estimation, she's not higher than us. She's part of us. But she's the best. She's part of us. But she's the best example of us. How about some other ways? There you go. 12 tribes of Israel or both. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. The people of God. That's how we know she's represented. Church is. I'm not distinguishing now. By her ministry of word and sacrament, used to give birth. By her ministry of word and sacrament, used to give birth to baptised in the flesh, you will be a blessing to all. Birth in the flesh, you will be a blessing to all. Birth to the one the dragon wishes to consume, but God saves. We've already had to the one the dragon wishes to consume, but God saves. We've already had 1260 days is complete. Okay. To 164 BC, the powers of dark. For the people, less hope. To 164 BC, the powers of dark. For the people, less hope, because we're going to go through the powers of dark. For the people, less hope, because we're going to go through some stuff. This is going to usher us as we. Okay, verse 7. And there was no longer any deceiver of the whole world. Salvation and the power and the kingdom and night before our God. Death. Therefore, rejoice, O heavens, and grab your attention. That there's a demon respond, speaking through the voice of the person they're possessing. Why have you come to us before the appointed time? The appointed time is when they all get thrown into hell. For sure. Absolutely. But they know their time is short. They know their time is short. Yep. Apparently had taken out a loan they couldn't afford. So we're going to ruin it for someone else. This is kind of what the devil's going to do, right? Woe to you, because your time is. Anything else grab your attention in here? That's us. Yeah. That's us. Yeah. Exactly. Michael and through the Turion again. This is not my personal journey with Jesus and everything else. Telling the story of his triumph. Theology, and it literally means at one minute. It's not different theories about that. He is a sacrifice. He the same reality. He the same reality. Just like when Peter testifies on the first gospel, he tells how Christ triumphed. That's what this witness piece. Christ triumphed. That's what this witness piece. Put a little O in Christmas, and we sing. I don't like that. In the word God of Sabaoth, and that means that's why you're bowing in awe. So, what the devil, this Now, this section, but you always get fun. Already happened, but not. If God says it's done, it's effectively done, even if we haven't experienced it yet. God's purpose never fails. God's word never fails. It's happened. The prophet Jeremiah wanders around the city of Jerusalem in a sackcloth and ashes, mourning because the city got destroyed. And everybody's looking at him laughing, going, like, you're an idiot. Like, don't you say, nope, you're dead. Stood for a movie right now because it happens, and then here's going to happen, and then here's going to be the detailed story. Of course, in heaven, essentially, it's enacted on earth. The similar did. First book is his being a choir. First book is his being a choir now, a chaotic director. And so then it goes back and forth. And so then it goes back and forth. And so the rebellious symphony over, down to be part of actually enacting what they actual symphony over, down to be part of actually enacting what they actual Christian song of. Anything else on those first 12 verses? Anything else on those first 12 verses? He pursued the woman who had given to the pleasure out of his mouth after the woman to sweep dragon had poured given to the pleasure out of his mouth after the woman to sweep dragon had poured from its mouth. Keep the commandments of God and hold to the after this, but we got to get through this first. What grabs your attention in these verses? Yeah. I know. Yeah. I know this is. It's like this really is. It's this idea that it's like this really is. It's this idea that the Lord gives wings of eagles to. Satan quotes against a stone.
Does that go back? Does that go back to the flood?
It actually goes back. It actually goes back a little further than that. So is the dragon is ushering in chaos to chase the woman. Now Egypt, the flight to Egypt is especially apt. Things happen in Egypt. Okay, only bad things come from Egypt. First thing Solomon does, marry an Egyptian wife, and everything goes downhill from there. Everything bad's in Egypt. Herod is seeking them out to kill them. Right? Or escape. God's purpose is what does God kill them? Right? Or escape. God's purpose is what does God do in the creation story? He's Noah. Ultimately a score on the rest of her offspring, right? There's a famous, we come to, so many different interpretations to how things go down, and even the rapture doctrine, but a rapture doctrine, so many different interpretations to how things go down, and even the rapture doctrine, but a rapture there's different ways of thinking about how the rapture would happen. But even if you believe in the rapture, one of the things how the rapture would happen, but even if you believe in the rapture, one of the things that would the children, so we don't have the children, so we don't have a rapture doctrine. A rapture doctrine. Now the action moves from heaven. The battles happen in heaven. Chapter, the real presence. The action moves from heaven. The battles happen in heaven. Chapter, the real presence of God is in heaven. He manifests. And the fact that he can't get to the woman. So meaning, in fact, the church is church languages. We do have a tender ground. We do have a tender ground. And what she experienced when she got very, very careful about who. So this is experience when she got very, very careful about who. So this is start 13 with 10 diadems. Its feet were like a bear. One of its heads seemed to have a more the dragon, for he had given his against it. I need to switch my online Bible so people can see the stuff I'm actually reading.
How the dragon
his authority, right? His power and his authority. By the way, in Greek, it's hard to tell which ergos, where we power. Yeah, for sure. But it's delegated authority, right? The real power rests with the dragon. He delegates it to the beast. Tell me about this beast. What do you notice about it? In the last chapter? Yep. Okay. Yep. Literally. Less speckled, it's whatever. That might be one way to interpret "stand away from a bear and you know." If you know, you know. Mouth like a lion's mouth, so that gaping teeth. Again, a lion would be the largest predator somebody in what we call the Holy Land today would ever encounter. Lion's ranges originally extended well into the Middle East. They've restricted with time, probably mostly due to climate change and people driving them out, just like mountain lions in this part of the country. You used to be able to encounter them in Pennsylvania, and you won't find any anymore. Keep going. Description. Wounded, but this is starting to sound like anybody we know. From someone else who gave him authority to sound like anybody we know. Jesus. That's how Christians look at Jesus and the Father. This beast.
That's like in our tradition we have. I don't know if everyone.
Sure.
But like the Antichrist. So
Yes.
it's kind of like.
Exactly like that. It's exactly like the Antichrist. And we think the Antichrist because we're modern people, but there have been many Antichrists throughout time.
It's kind of like the final one.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Most cowardly of the big cats. It's a deception piece. This is the Christ rather than the real one. All the world marvels, which is an old word you'll call cross. The crowd marveled at this beast. He receives authority from the dragon the same way Christ receives authority from the Father, right? What's his parting shot to us as he ascends? All of it is like a combination of the animals in Daniel chapter 7. And how long is he given authority for? Tell you what, it is noon. We'll start the holidays.